What does she say? A little change over time and the weather's fine?
I thought she said all the time.
Hey, Bradley, can you re-rack that? He's our director. We'll have to listen to it next. Next break. A little change of time? A little change in time? A little change, I don't know.
I think overtime makes sense.
A little change over time.
Because the weather always changes.
The weather always changes. Welcome to Forecasting with Friends.
We are your friends.
We're your friends. So I'm Mike.
And I'm Allison.
And we're coming up on Father's Day weekend.
Yes.
And so we've done a lot of father, sort of based stuff today. Allison's cooking segment today, which was this incredible chocolate lava thing that she can explain in a minute. We got to hear from your dad.
Yes.
Which was kind of cool.
I know. And so I called him on my way home. I was like, okay, I'm going to be filming. I'm going to need you to be free from like 4 to 5 o'clock. And he goes, I'm going to be on TV. And I was like, your voice will be, no. And I was like, yes, you're going to be, and it's going to be just fine. And he did great.
Yeah, it did. It was very cool. It was like a nice little addition to the segment.
And if you watch the morning show, it was called Dad Joke Friday. So give us your best one, Mike.
Okay, so I have one for you.
Okay.
This is a cooking related joke. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta.
That's good.
Terrible. Okay, now I have another. It's a seafood joke.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? Why does the crab have so much trouble sharing?
Because he's crabby.
No, because he's shellfish.
Okay, that's good. These are good.
So, yeah. We had, I forgot to bring it out, but our executive producer, Jonathan Chastain, he was at Five Below. The store Five Below. And so he found this dad joke book, and it was called Extra Punny. It was like dad jokes, extra punny, like,
Extra.
Like maximum strength, extra punny. So we used that this morning with some good ones, like why did the detective sleep under the sheets? Because he was working undercover. Ones like that, yeah. So it was bad. Some of them were pretty bad. Oh, so okay, this is the last one. This is the last one. Sorry, this is the last one. This was my favorite one of the morning. I got mixed reviews on it.
Okay.
Really, like our big boss, Aaron, it didn't seem to really think it was that funny, but then some other people liked it in the newsroom. Delon and Denise seemed maybe it was during Sally Mack and Lena. Yeah, it was Sally Mack and Lena, unimpressed. So here's the joke. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? Tentacles. Tentacles.
That's funny.
So yeah.
I like that.
Sally right away changed the subject to some documentary on octopuses or whatever, and I'm like, well, tentacles.
Hello?
Like tentacles. So yeah.
I like that. Was that in the book, or you thought of that?
Well, it's like a modified version of one that was in the book.
Okay.
I get inspired by the ones that are in the book.
Yeah, come up with your own.
Yeah. Well, that's what Bradley says. It's not funny if you have to explain it, I suppose. But I mean, tentacles.
Well, I think it's funny because then people would think, okay, octopus ate, and then they're trying to think, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
So I like that.
So okay, I think we're going to start off with Florida.
Yes.
As we talked about yesterday on Forecasting with Friends, which I'm sure you were watching. Hopefully we were talking about Florida. And Allison spent a lot of time forecasting in Florida. I was born and raised in Florida. And South Florida is getting tropical moisture, and we were kind of tying it in like, we could maybe get something similar potentially next week. Well, my mom sent me these pictures of some hope. Yeah, some hopeful pictures. After the flooding rains down there in South Florida, upwards of 1.5 feet of rain. After the rain
comes a
drum roll. A truck.
No.
After the rain comes a truck.
A Bud Light truck at that.
This is the other story we're going. Okay, so let's switch gear. Okay,
Okay,
so there's the rainbow. So after the rain comes the rainbow, and so my mom captured this as like outside of their home, and there's like been 1.5 feet of rain. They closed down I-95. They had people water rescues and all that stuff.
Just gloomy
and all of that. So now the rainbow comes out, and there were a couple of nice pictures that she took.
What a cute little neighborhood too.
Isn't it? I know, seriously.
Is it golf course community?
I don't think. Well, maybe.
It looks like it.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask her that.
It's so cute.
But it is for let's see, what do you call it?
Like 55
it's like 55
plus.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no, but it's so pretty, and there's iguanas, and there's like these endangered owls that live in her yard behind her house. They're burrowing owls. They're like that big.
Really?
Yeah, and so they're so cute, but they have like they're roped off because you're not allowed to go near them. It's like against the law.
That's
yeah.
cool.
So the other picture that came up,
yes,
was of a beer truck,
but not beer. So you think a lot of folks, you've just gone through maybe some of the worst days. Your house, maybe is flooded. You've had to move in with friends or go to a hotel. So the Anheuser-Busch distributorship here in Houston actually bottled up cans of water, not beer, water.
which is why we saw the picture of the truck. There we go.
And I mean, just look at all those pallets, and they actually gave them to folks who were in need. And you know that we had earlier last month just destructive flooding, and so it's just awesome that they were able to partner with the Red Cross there and actually bring cans of water. And I think that's the funny thing, is that you see a can and then you see a Bud Light truck and you're like, beer,
You're like,
but
whoa.
no.
I was thinking though, like sometimes when you've been through a disaster like that, you might want a beer, but it's neat though that they can take, I mean, I assume they just like in the factory, like the water that they would have used to brew or whatever, they're like, hey, look, we're just gonna can the water and use that as disaster supplies, and obviously it's going to have a great shelf life, and it's probably going to taste pretty refreshing, and all that.
Very, which is just awesome. And so, great that these big companies in the community are helping out folks who need it. But yeah, I think the Bud Light truck is a little misleading.
Yeah, maybe giving some false hope, I suppose. But there's a big factory that they have on the east side of Houston. It's like around the 610 East Loop and I-10. They used to give factory tours. There's a big sign that says Bud Light. They used to give factory tours. I don't think they do anymore.
Bummer.
I always wanted to go on one, and I just never did. And then I think, I don't know, whatever happened with security or maybe, and of course COVID and stuff. I don't think they do the tours anymore, but yeah. So like a lot of the Anheuser-Busch products that you see in the stores are canned and bottled there on the east side of Houston. And so maybe one day they'll invite us over there. Maybe we'll do a forecasting with friends with some brews or something. You never know.
We're talking to you.
Yeah. So if you live out there, or if you work out there, maybe give us a little invite.
And okay, so kind of a funny story, not really, but went to a music festival to actually see Metallica with my dad. So it's Lollapalooza in Chicago a few summers ago. And I just wanted water. Like, it's hot, we want water. And they go, all we have is canned water. So then it looks like you're drinking, but you're not.
Yeah.
And so it's very misleading in the sense that, if people are like, well, you have a can in your hand. And I'm like, well. And
hey, we saw the weather lady just pounding them down at the Metallica concert. And it's like, no, it was water. No, we saw you drinking out of a can. No, it was canned water, believe me.
So just beware is all I'm saying. It tastes great though.
They have, and then we'll get to our break so that we can get to actual weather. But there's a brand, talk about marketing, like they're marketing geniuses. There's a brand called Liquid Death. I don't know if you've seen Liquid Death.
Yes.
Well, my daughter always wants me to get, my one daughter always wants me to get Liquid Death. It's literally water. It's like they have some flavor, but the primary product is not even flavored or bubbling or
it's just still
seltzer. It's just water, but it's in a can and it has like a screaming skull on it.
It's cool, Mike.
It was just water.
And it's probably more expensive too.
It's more expensive, definitely. All right, we have some actual weather coming up.
Yes, we do. We promise. And in the next break, we're actually I don't know why I keep saying next break. Anyway.
Whatever, break block.
Talking with the director of the National Hurricane Center. So we did this interview during the start of hurricane season. So again, it's been about 14 days, but he's just talking about why it's going to be such a busy year and what the impacts could be to our very own coastline. So make sure you stick with us in just a few. That's coming up.
Fox 26 is your Gulf Coast Weather Authority. And while our area is vast,
this storm could bring widespread flooding and dangerous winds to our entire...
Our forecasting zeroes in.
These storm cells over the ship channel are particularly dangerous.
From your community.
Memorial Park is getting hammered right now with heavy downpours.
Right down to your neighborhood streets.
We're starting to see the water rise along Buffalo Bayou.
It's hyper-local coverage from your Gulf Coast Weather Authority, only on Fox 26. Fox 26 News at 9. Our breaking bond reports hold judges accountable.
A 20-year-old charged with manslaughter.
The News Edge at 10. Your clues help find the missing.
Her son never made it to his
investigations that get results. Weeknights on Fox 26. Engaging and shareable. Visit the Fox 26 Houston Facebook page. Need a legal question answered? Fox 26 legal expert Chris Tritico can help.
But this may be a pretty sizable claim that your sister has.
Just send your legal questions to fox26law@fox.com. Then tune into Houston's morning show every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. to hear your questions answered. The news doesn't stop on weekends.
We're learning more details about a story we first brought you yesterday morning.
And neither do we.
But as we head throughout the afternoon, that's when the rain starts moving in from the southwest.
Fox 26 Morning News Weekends with Denise Middleton.
Well, now to a story you'll see only on Fox. The family of a beloved bartender in North.
And meteorologist Allison Gargaro.
Right now, we are seeing some of the heaviest rain start to push off to our...
Fox 26 Morning News Weekends, Saturdays and Sundays beginning at 5 a.m.
The Fox 26 Weather app with more features in one easy-to-use screen. Current weather at a glance, high-resolution interactive radar, severe weather alerts, video forecasts, and much more. It's the power of your Gulf Coast Weather Authority in the palm of your hand. The Fox 26 Weather app. Download it today.
The Fox 26 YouTube page, your home for the best Fox 26 has to offer. The latest news.
Good evening, I'm Caroline Collins. Topping the rundown.
Our most popular local programs like the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
Why the hell are so many people burnt out?
And stories you may have missed from series like Breaking Bond.
The quicker we get a grasp on what's happening.
Sullivan Smart Sense and The Missing.
Please pick up the phone and call the police. Remember, you can remain anonymous.
The Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
Overtime or all the time? Overtime.
Yeah, I heard overtime that time.
A little change overtime. And the weather is fine.
We're all like, louder, louder.
That's right. Okay, so now for the serious weather stuff.
Yes. We're in hurricane season, and it's kind of interesting to think back just 2 weeks ago when we're saying, okay, likely going to be one of the busiest seasons that we've had in recent history. Yep. But we haven't even had a named storm yet. Yep. But the thing is, even though there's been nothing named, we've been seeing some astronomical rain totals in South Florida. So,
and of course, we're concerned even around here beginning next week. So, which, you know, we'll have details on here coming up in a few minutes. But yeah, this is just the beginning probably of what's going to be several months of a lot of high anxiety.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just always good to note, have your hurricane kit ready. I went out and bought some non-perishable foods yesterday because I'm looking at the model saying, okay, got to have your applesauce just in case.
You got to have the dog food and all that stuff. So we got the dog food, cat food, prescriptions, all that stuff. Yep.
So I talked with the director from the National Hurricane Center, and we're just going over, you know, why is this going to be such a busy season, and what could we potentially expect even here in Houston or along the Texas coast, you know, the greater area. So let's check in with Mr. Brennan himself. The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season is here, and it is set to be a busy one. NOAA did release their forecast of predictions for what this season could bring, and as you can see, likely well above average. So I do want to bring in Michael Brennan, who is the director of NOAA's National Hurricane Center. Thank you so much for being with us. Hope you guys are slowing things down, obviously, because it's been so busy. You guys just came out with the latest numbers. And what do you and your team actually go through to get these predictions? And this year, it's well above average.
Yeah, so there's a variety of tools we use to make the seasonal forecast, and it's actually a team from here at the Hurricane Center the Hurricane Research Division and the Climate Prediction Center that work together to make these forecasts. But we use, statistical techniques. We look at dynamical models, long-term forecasts of tropical cyclone activity that go all the way through the season, and look at patterns in previous seasons that have had sort of the similar large-scale conditions that all go into making the forecast for these numbers.
Okay, I love that you brought up past seasons, because I think folks, especially here in Texas, are saying, okay, it was quiet last year. It's kind of been quiet. I feel like Florida has really been the one that's been hit hard. So what years in the past did we kind of see the trend where Texas maybe got a bit busier?
Well, we've seen in Texas, obviously, Hurricane Harvey sort of sticks out as the most recent example of a very impactful storm, certainly in the mid-Texas coast, certainly into southeast Texas with the catastrophic flooding in Houston. You go back to 2008 with Ike, again, another very, very impactful storm. But, every year is a little different. And in terms of overall activity in the basin, just because we have a lot of storms, we don't know necessarily where they're going to form, which areas they might ultimately affect. So the message that is for everybody along the coast of Texas, you have to be ready for hurricane season this year, just like you have to be ready every year.
And can you talk about the temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico? Is it normal that we see temperatures in the 80s the end of May?
Yeah, temperatures are above normal across much of the Atlantic basin and the deep tropical Atlantic, the Caribbean, even into portions of the Gulf and here near Florida. So that does tend to provide more fuel to storms that if they were to potentially form. But there's a lot of other factors that go into determining, if storms form, how strong they're going to be. There's a lot of factors in the atmosphere that play a role together with what's going on in the ocean that ultimately determine the strength and the structure of a tropical storm or hurricane.
And speaking of the atmosphere, likely going to be transitioning into a La Nina a little bit later this summer. So for folks maybe at home that don't necessarily know what that means, kind of what can they expect?
Yeah, La Nina is a cooling of the ocean waters in the eastern part of the Pacific, but the effect it has on the Atlantic basin for hurricane activity is it creates typically lower vertical wind shear, or the change of wind speed and direction with height, which tends to, if it's really strong, tends to suppress tropical storm and hurricane development. So La Nina tends to lower the wind shear. It tends to make the atmosphere more unstable, which allows for more rising motion. So the atmosphere conditions, as if they develop as expected by the time we get to August, September, October, will allow systems that are trying to develop to take advantage of those very warm ocean waters. So that's why we're expecting a very busy season with these numbers of named storms, and then the 8 to 13 hurricanes, 4 to 7 major hurricanes. These are what we're most concerned about in terms of potential significant impacts are in the hurricane to major hurricane strength. And that's certainly a risk along all of the Gulf Coast, but we can't underestimate the power of tropical storms and even tropical depressions, especially from a rainfall perspective, can produce catastrophic rainfall. That we saw from Harvey came from Harvey when it was no longer a hurricane. It was a tropical depression or tropical storm. So the rainfall impacts almost have nothing to do with how strong a storm is from a wind perspective.
Wow, that's something so good to keep in mind, because yes, you're looking at the category and okay, maybe it's Cat 3, Cat 4. If it moves quickly, maybe it doesn't drop as much rain, but something that slows down, just sits overhead. Hopefully we don't see that.
That's where the rainfall flooding has everything to do with how long it rains and how hard it rains. And that, again, has almost nothing to do with the category, major hurricane, tropical depression, tropical storm. Just if it rains long enough and hard enough, you're going to have flooding problems, especially in flood-prone areas like portions of southeast Texas, elsewhere along the Gulf Coast.
So I want to bring up the cone of uncertainty, because I think folks are so used to the normal cone. I mean, it's what you see all over the news, all over social media. But I know that you guys are going to be trying something new this year. And in addition to the normal cone that we're used to, what else are you guys going to try around with and see if people really can understand it's not just the winds?
Yeah, so this is an experimental version of the cone graphic that we're going to roll out as we get into the middle of the peak of hurricane season, sometime around mid-August. It's still going to have the cone. The cone itself is not going to be any different. But what we're going to emphasize here now are the inland tropical storm and hurricane watches and warnings that exist. In this example, you can see almost the entire state of Florida is covered by a hurricane or tropical storm warning. They extend inland into portions of Georgia and South Carolina. In the past, the graphic only showed those warnings on the coast. So now we're going to use that to highlight the wind impacts, but then also to help emphasize that the hazards extend well outside the cone, not just for wind, but for storm surge, for rainfall flooding. So again, trying to communicate more effectively in the space of those hazards, because that's what we really want people to pay attention to.
Wow, I love to look at that. So I was actually working in Orlando when Hurricane Ian hit, and by the time it made its way to Orlando, you know how far Fort Myers is from Orlando, it was still a Cat 1, and then it basically just sat overhead, and we had 24 to 30 plus inches of rain.
Yeah, significant inland impacts. Of course, we all remember what Ian did in Fort Myers Beach, Lee County, the catastrophic storm surge, but the impacts elsewhere across the state of Florida were very, very significant. We had multiple fatalities from freshwater flooding, significant wind impacts, power outages across much of the state.
And then can we just talk about storm surge? Because I know a lot of folks, hey, moving here to Texas, moving to Florida from spots that don't see hurricanes. So what is storm surge and how important it is to listen to those warnings well ahead of time?
Yeah, so storm surge is just a push of ocean water or water from the Gulf of Mexico, in the case of Texas, onto normally dry land by the winds of the hurricane or tropical storm. But it is the potential to be the deadliest hazard in tropical storms and hurricanes, because if you get significant storm surge inundation and dangerous waves on top of that storm surge, you can have catastrophic unsurvivable type conditions along the coastline and even extending well inland. And as we saw in Hurricane Ike in 2008 as an example in Southeast Texas, as we saw in Ian in 2022 in Florida, storm surge is the hazard that drives most of the evacuation decisions for tropical storms and hurricanes in the United States. So you definitely want to know if you live in a storm surge evacuation zone there in Southeast Texas, because if you could be asked to leave your home by local officials, that's going to form the basis of your entire hurricane preparedness plan. Because if you're going to have to evacuate, you need to know where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, what you're taking with you, how are you going to take care of your friends, your family, your neighbors, your pets. Again, this is why it's so important to make those plans now as we head into the hurricane season, so you're not trying to figure out your plan when a storm threatens you.
Wow, such great tips. Well, Michael Brennan, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for all your hard work, and we truly appreciate it right here in Houston. Have a good one.
Thanks so much.
So you brought up such a great point with that new cone that they're going to premiere about mid-season, which is that previously they would issue hurricane watches and warnings along the coastline, and you would see the state, with this line on the outside and a cone going through it. It didn't really let somebody inland, which could be in Florida, Orlando, around here, it could be Katy or something. Doesn't really let you know there's a big threat for you too.
It's just going to be so interesting because folks are used to the cone. I mean, we've seen it for years. But I think really knowing what the impacts are, because like we were talking about, every storm is different. Maybe it's a really small storm, it moves quickly. Maybe it doesn't do too much to where you live, but something that's slow with those outer rain bands, you get a lot of rain, winds, whatever it is. So it's just so important to note that every storm is different, and it really only takes one storm. So we're going to be watching.
And sometimes it takes one super heavy rain band that you just get caught under, and one side of the city you'll see 1.5 feet of rain, and maybe some other part won't see any. So everyone is different. It's kind of like a snowflake or a fingerprint, I mean, each one is unique. And so that's why we really have to focus on the potential impacts and not focus just on what's the category, what are the fastest winds that are measured and the cone and things like that. So, but that's why we're here.
Yeah. That's what we're here for. And Mike did a really good job earlier this week talking about our exclusive Fox model.
Yeah, I know. We're kind of excited about that. We're going to use it as like a second opinion, or third opinion. We have our main models like the American GFS model and the European model, and both of those have a long, great track record. But Fox has put together their version of the weather research and forecast model that was originally designed specifically for Florida, actually, but has since been expanded and now covers the entire Atlantic Ocean and all of the U.S. So we're going to use it this season and give you an extra view that nobody else has.
That you'll just find here on Fox 26.
That's right.
And especially on Forecasting with Friends. Am I right?
Definitely. Maybe we could show that like in a minute, like after this break.
Yes, I will be showing it. How about I start with it?
Okay, so stick around for that.
We'll be right back.
Fox 26 is your Gulf Coast Weather Authority. And while our area is vast,
this storm could bring widespread flooding and dangerous winds to our entire
our forecasting zeroes in.
These storm cells over the ship channel are particularly dangerous.
From your community.
Memorial Park is getting hammered right now with heavy downpours.
Right down to your neighborhood streets.
We're starting to see the water rise along Buffalo Bayou.
It's hyper-local coverage from your Gulf Coast Weather Authority, only on Fox 26. Fox 26 News at 9. Our breaking bond reports hold judges accountable.
A 20-year-old charged with manslaughter.
The News Edge at 10. Your clues help find the missing.
Her son never made it to his
investigations that get results. Weeknights on Fox 26. Engaging and shareable. Visit the Fox 26 Houston Facebook page. Need a legal question answered? Fox 26 legal expert Chris Tritico can help.
But this may be a pretty sizable claim that your sister has.
Just send your legal questions to fox26law@fox.com. Then tune into Houston's morning show every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. to hear your questions answered. The news doesn't stop on weekends.
We're learning more details about a story we first brought you yesterday morning.
And neither do we.
As we head throughout the afternoon, that's when the rain starts moving in from the southwest.
Fox 26 Morning News Weekends with Denise Middleton.
Well, now to a story you'll see only on Fox. The family of a beloved bartender in North.
And meteorologist Allison Gargaro.
Right now, we are seeing some of the heaviest rain start to push off to our
Fox 26 Morning News Weekends, Saturdays and Sundays beginning at 5 a.m.
The Fox 26 Weather app with more features in one easy-to-use screen. Current weather at a glance, high-resolution interactive radar, severe weather alerts, video forecasts, and much more. It's the power of your Gulf Coast Weather Authority in the palm of your hand. The Fox 26 Weather app. Download it today.
The Fox 26 YouTube page, your home for the best Fox 26 has to offer. The latest news.
Good evening, I'm Caroline Collins. Topping the rundown.
Our most popular local programs like the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
Why the hell are so many people burned out?
And stories you may have missed from series like Breaking Bond.
The quicker we get a grasp on what's happening.
Sullivan Smart Sense and The Missing.
Please pick up the phone and call the police. Remember, you can remain anonymous.
The Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
Just as promised, we are starting with our Fox model. Again, you're only going to see it right here on Fox 26. It's been doing a really good job at showing the heavy rain that we've been watching all week in Florida. But it's also hinting at tropical moisture that's going to be moving up from the south. The southern Gulf of Mexico right now has a 50% chance of further development, where we could be seeing an area of low pressure, if not even a tropical depression forming. So likely Monday, Tuesday, and really through the end of next week is when we're going to be seeing that moisture start to surge up to the north and then potentially move into the west. So here you go. You can see some thunderstorms already developing in the southern Gulf, and that's the area that we're going to be watching closely. Now, I do want to take you out to our GFS model. This is a longer range model showing just like what the Fox model was hinting at. Here we go with that heavy rain starting to make its way to our immediate coast. Now the thing is, we have several updates of these model runs. So the exact timing and maybe location of some of the heaviest rain is likely going to change between now and then. But what we've been seeing really over the last few models is that the Gulf Coast from Brownsville, Corpus Christi, us here in Houston, Galveston, and then even into portions of Louisiana, going to be seeing that heavy rain. Now it's going to be over, several day span, but right now hinting at 7, 8, 9+ inches, likely starting Monday through Friday. So make sure you stick with us. We have a tropical update every day that you're not going to want to miss. Find us on Fox Local, YouTube, and even on Fox 26. And speaking of, I'll be live in 30 minutes for our noon newscast. Have a great rest of your day and happy early Father's Day.